How are we going? Matrix bullet time. You know, we've probably all seen the movie, you know, where the bullet comes in and Keanu Reeves goes back and it slowly goes across his head. You think that's based in any kind of reality? Do you think that's actually possible? If someone asked me that, I would have said, you know what, bullshit, I don't believe that. But you know what? It took me a shark attack and my very first contact in Afghanistan to realise there's something to it. Let's take the safety off and get into this. Alright, welcome back. I'm the Commando in your corner, Tim Thomas, and bullet time became very real for me when I was dragged underwater by a shark. I was out spearfishing with a mate, and this thing was biting down onto my leg. And the fun fact about sharks is they have eyelids. So as they bite down, their eyelids shut over. So this shark is staring at me, going as it's biting down on my leg, and I had the life flashing before my eyes. It was like a filing cabinet drawer opening up. And all my life experiences were there, and I could see them all. And then I'm like, well, is this fear? Am I about to die here? This is just information. I've got to start pulling information out of this. So I focused, and I could bring out all the things that were related to shark attacks. I need all the information from sharks, so they all appeared in front of me. And it was mostly just me being scared of sharks. I grew up terrified of sharks. I had nightmares of sharks. I had a few shark encounters. And that search didn't help me, so I did another search. I'm like, okay, predatory animals and attacks on people. And all of a sudden, this memory popped up, and I was visiting a mate of mine who'd been attacked by a crocodile. His name was Wes Mannion, and I hadn't spoken to him in years. But there I was in the hospital talking to Wes. Wes was actually the manager of Australia Zoo. He was the late Steve Irwin's off-sider for many years. So I'm there talking to Wes. He's got his leg bandaged up from the croc bite, and I asked him, what was it like? And he said something very similar. He had his life flashing before his eyes, and then he realized, well, it's actually happening. The thing that he'd wondered about, the thing that he was fearful of, was actually happening. And then I'm like, thanks, Wes. I jump out of that scenario, and then I'm like, you know what? Yeah, all these things I was scared of, it's finally happening. There it is on my leg. It's finally happening. It's actually a bit of a relief. A release, I should say. Now, I did a whole series on that because there's a lot of detail more than just the life flashing before my eyes. So there is a Shark Week available, so you can, if you want to delve into that a bit deeper, you can. Now, the other time was the very first contact I had in Afghanistan. I was part of the Australian Special Forces Commandos. Yes, I was actually a commando. It's not just a name. And we were in Afghanistan, 2009. And I remember the day. We're in a vehicle harbour. And in those places, it's considered, relatively safe. So we didn't have body armour on. And I remember these hail of bullets coming in. And I dove for cover. Time slowed down again. Now, to me, it wasn't like bullets. You can't slow the bullets, but it was like 1 second was like 30 seconds. And so all of a sudden, I started collecting data on instead of going into my past, I started collecting data on what was going on around me. And it's amazing how much is in front of you if you really focus on it. So I'm there, okay, what do I know about this situation? These bullets, let's listen to these bullets. And they weren't fizzing in, they were tumbling in. You can hear them sort of tumbling as they rip through the air. So I'm like, they're a little way away. They are not that close. So how far away are they? So let's figure this out. So let's listen. The crack of the bullet, 1,000, 2,000, 3, the splash of the impact. So that's 3.5 seconds of flight time. And they're shooting, what I know right now is they're probably using a Russian machine gun called a PMK. It fires a 7.62 round, which got a muzzle velocity of about 800 meters a second. Okay, so 800 meters times 3, and this is while it's going on. It was literally like I had my pen and paper out trying to figure out this calculation. And I'm not good at math, but I had enough time, as at least in my mind, to work it all out. And this is happening obviously in a fraction of real time. So 3.5 times 800 is 2,800 meters away. But then I'm like, 2.8 kilometers away? That doesn't sit right. But then I'm like, hang on, 800 meters per second is just the muzzle velocity. It's just the speed at which the bullet comes out of the muzzle. So it would have washed off a whole lot of speed on its trajectory here. So they're probably, you know what? They're probably only 2,300 to 2,400 meters away. Right. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be able to break cover, get into my body armor, get into my 50 cal, which travels a lot faster and a lot more accurate than their bullets would be, and I'll be able to do that safely. And this was all worked out in a fraction of a second because time slowed down. And that's exactly what I did. I broke cover, I got into my body armor, I got into my 50 cal, and my 50 cal was a lot faster and a lot more accurate than they were. I saw the bullets splashing where I was, but I was perfectly safe because I'd worked it all out beforehand. And this wasn't something that they showed us in, Special Forces training. This is just something that came to me on the day. Now, how does this actually happen? How does time actually slow down? It's really simple. And I'm going to explain it like this. Okay, I've got my little whiteboard here. So, here we have, the best way I can explain it is, think of a camera, okay? The camera lens. This is the camera lens here. And then you've got the outside action, okay? Something that's happening outside. Now the camera's got a processor inside which normally travels at 25 frames a second, per second. So if you want to get slow motion, you speed the processing up. So instead of 25 frames a second, you make it 50 frames seconds or 100 frames a second. If you want to record a bullet going slowly, you probably need something with 1,000 frames a second. And obviously that slows the outside action down because this thing is speeding up. It doesn't slow that thing down, but this thing speeds up. So think of it like this. You've got your eye attached to your head. That's his nose, very bad shaped head. But the eye is the lens for the brain, okay? And that usually shows however many processing power to whatever's happening in front of them, okay? But when things go really bad, some people can speed this up. So in say 25 frames a second, this thing speeds up, so the outside stimuli seemed like it's going a lot slower. So you see how the camera, just like the camera speeds up its processing power and that slows down, your brain speeds up its processing power and then this thing slows down. It's not particularly, I can only imagine it would be an evolutionary trait that helped certain people survive and therefore it got passed down. Did I know I could do this? Absolutely not. It's cool when it happens, but obviously the situation you're in could potentially go either way. So I'm just sharing this with you to help explain, the myth and legend around Matrix time was probably born around something that was very similar. Well, that's all we've got time for today. I'm the Commando in your corner, Tim Thomas, and I believe good people are everywhere, and a little bit of encouragement goes a long way. If you enjoy this one, hit like, subscribe, notifications, and send me a little comment. If you've had an experience like this, I'd love to hear about it. Some people, time slows down. Some people, time speeds up. I'd love to hear if you've had any experiences where time changed for you. Have a cracking day. Chat to you again soon.